Hello, everyone. My name is Chad Erickson. I'm the Vice President of Strategy at MyAdvice, and I'm very, very excited to welcome our guest today to the MyAdvice podcast, or I should say vodcast. Shannon Seeberan has been a 20-year sales and marketing expert and is currently the co-founder and Vice President of Development at CloudMedSpas. It's a platform that's empowering aesthetic practice owners. And after an initial 10-year career in media sales, Shannon founded Medical Practice, a consulting company, and supporting the growth in the medical aesthetic space. Her strengths include strategic planning, leveraging industry networks, and supporting client growth. And I'm really excited to have her here today because what she does and what she brings to the table for so many med spa owners today, and just business owners in general, is really unmatched. And so anyway, you're going to learn a lot from her in our few minutes today. But Shannon, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Chad. Really happy to be here.
Absolutely. So let's get right to it. So what are some of the biggest challenges, Shannon, that med spa owners face today, and how does the CloudMedSpa software really help solve for those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. When we came up with our platform, we were very excited to offer this opportunity. Little did we know that a lot of our conversations with our clients would be fixing a lot of the struggles and frustrations with running a med spa or an aesthetics aspect of their medical practice. So some of the biggest problems that we see really all stem from large overhead costs. Those are, inclusive of those are employee salaries, retention, inventory management, capital device investments, and marketing costs with patient acquisition. So what we really see ourselves bringing to the table with our software is an empowering platform that supports our clients to work smarter, not harder, to run their business more efficiently, with fewer overhead costs and generating more revenue for their practice or med spa. So, yeah.
So that's awesome. How does CloudMesSpas more specifically help them run more efficiently and effectively, and reduce those costs?
So similar to a platform, I like to compare it to Toast or even OpenTable for restaurants. Those are software platforms that help restaurants run their restaurant more efficiently, with their scheduling and their inventory and their oversight on how the space is being used and the flow. That is similar to how CloudMedSpa works. We are taking the largest investment of our clients, which tends to be their real estate, and helping them maximize that space. So instead of having large overhead costs associated with employees, that goes away. You are now renting your space by the hour, maximizing that utilization of your space. You are accessing great product rates, but not purchasing large inventory, which in theory is large inventory is money sitting on a shelf in a stock room. So you're only buying the product you need at the time, and then eliminating marketing fees as well associated with patient acquisition to keep your employees busy, right? So those costs go away. Now the employees are their own bosses. They are managing their own client lists. And they are in charge of that. And you are now allowing your space to be accessed by multiple providers at different times when your space is available, whether it's 2 exam rooms or 4 exam rooms, 3 days a week or 5 days a week. You have now a healthy revenue stream in place using that space. The providers are excited and happy because what's different from a salon suite model is they're getting access to devices and products to support their business and the diversity of procedures they offer. And you as an owner have a busy space that is free of high marketing costs, the overhead fees of retaining your employees, making sure the providers don't walk out the door, which when a provider walks out the door, so do the patients and the clients. And so now you have a healthy revenue stream that is managed by a smart system, CloudMedSpas, so you can see the utilization of your space, the products that you are managing in the inventory, so you're not buying too many, and also the device access and usage is another revenue stream.
That's huge. So if I'm a med spa owner and I've got 3 suites in my practice, I'm only using one of those for myself. So I'm either hiring more people, worried about them, are they showing up? Did I fill their schedule? Now it's saying, I'm going to worry about mine and my schedule only. And CloudMedSpas now is going to help me fill those other spaces because I'm essentially renting that out. So somebody says, hey, I want a block today, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I want a block from 10 a.m. to 2, and that person pays you for that space. Is that basically how that
That is
works?
correct. Yep, exactly. It's really, maximizing the space that you are not in those rooms. And that is a cost that is underutilized even when you have employees, because if the employees are not seeing patients, they're not in the rooms either. So under this model, that responsibility of keeping the rooms full is no longer yours. And you can have more providers in the space using the space at their own flexibility, creating their own schedules. They are happy because they're in control of their client list. Very similar to the hair care model is what where this came from, obviously, is the lifetime value of the client-patient relationship in aesthetics is really between the client and the patient, similar to the hair care model.
Right.
Salons have been renting their chairs for years now, understanding that it is not the salon, but the beautician or the hairstylist that owns that relationship. And so it's a great way. Again, it's rent by the hour. Providers are excited and happy because if they want to take a month off, they can take a month off and they have no overhead costs themselves. They have wonderful access to product rates, to the product they need and the devices they need to perform the procedures.
That's awesome. And like you said, in the marketing, I can see the advantage of that, where it's injector Sally, we'll call her, right? She's in charge of her own. It's her clientele, it's her marketing, it's whatever she needs. And so,
and
now it's a cost savings as well.
Yep. And she sets
Yes.
her own pricing and manages her own transactions and her POS with her clients and her own EMR or EHR. And what is really great, especially for the practices, the medical practices that integrate CloudMedSpas into their practices, is that the physicians are not taking on additional liability, right? They have no insight or as to who the patients are. And so that obviously keeps them free of liability as to how the patients are being treated by the providers individually who have their own medical director and malpractice insurance.
That's awesome. Yeah. That just makes sense. You've a couple of times, Shannon, you've mentioned devices. Tell the group here today or the audience about devices and how CloudMedSpas helps with that, because that's a challenge. Sometimes I've seen a lot of these med spa owners buy a device, maybe they weren't ready for it. The overhead was too much for them. So how does that work?
Yeah, we all know that these devices don't come at, a low cost. It's a huge investment. So for our clients who have devices on site already, what's wonderful about CloudMedSpas software is you can now price those devices into the software. So every provider in the space who wants to access the device or get trained on the device prior to accessing it as well, that's now a separate revenue stream. So now the owner or the practice owner is now earning revenue that helps cover their costs on their large investment, via those touch points of providers using their devices. If we have a client who does not yet have devices on board, but is interested in that acquisition, we can also bridge those relationships. We have capabilities with specific manufacturers, where we can put a device on site at no cost to our client. Those costs, again, are built into the software, and providers are subsidizing those costs over the course of the month. So it doesn't take on the owner does not take on the responsibility of those fees. So it's really exciting when owners can learn they can now integrate devices into their practice without taking on that huge capital risk. And for the ones that already have the devices on site to realize now they can generate a revenue stream to alleviate them of those expensive costs.
Smart. That's huge. Like I said, I've seen that it can be a great benefit, but it can also be a burden for a lot of these owners of these med spas. So it makes a lot of sense. In our last few minutes here today, Shannon, you've talked about the salon model, and I love that you've kind of turned the med spa model upside down, saying, hey, look, this has already been around and it works. So why will someone come and use CloudMedSpas software and everything that you provide, as opposed to just renting the space on their own, saying, yeah, I can do this on my own, I don't need your software? Or there's other salon softwares out there. Why would they use CloudMedSpas when they have two other options that they might in their mind think are easier, better, or cheaper? I hear that too. I gotta save money. So how does that
Sure.
work?
You definitely can. You can rent your space yourself, but I have to tell you, the scheduling can be quite complicated when you're managing the schedules of numerous providers. And think of it as versus having 3 injector employees, you could have 20 different providers accessing your 2 or 3 exam rooms. And do you really want to manage the scheduling of those providers in your space? So the software really is great for that, with taking that responsibility away. Inventory management, knowing how much product you have, not overbuying when you don't need it. Again, product on the shelf is money on the shelf, and you want to really minimize your overhead costs. You want the product in the space that you know is going to be used by the providers in the space. So the inventory management is within the software. And then, last but not least, again, it's a smart system that runs your business and makes you a smarter business owner. So when you think about it like that, it's really plug and play. And then, second, last but not least, we are true collaborators with our clients. This is an ongoing relationship. The software is not a one-off transaction. We don't set you up and say good luck. We are meeting with our clients frequently, making sure the software is running efficiently for them, that the provider acquisition is going smoothly, and that everyone is happy. It's a win for our owners. It's a win for the providers in the space, and it alleviates the capital risk that is endemic to the aesthetic space.
I think you nailed it. It's a win for everybody, and it's a win for all of our listeners today. So thank you. Shannon, last thing, how do they get hold of you? Anybody that's listening, what's the easiest way?
The easiest way is email me, Shannon@CloudMedSpas.com. It's plural. And my information is also on our website, CloudMedSpas.com. It doesn't hurt. Set up a 10-minute consultation. Tell me a little bit about your practice, about your med spa. This is sort of the wave of the future, shared investments. We're sharing our cars on Turo. We're sharing our homes on Airbnb. Let's maximize your workspace as well. And so everyone can really reduce the risk and increase your revenue of your business.
Super smart. Shannon, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing so much great information. And we will visit with you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chad. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.